Hey, everybody. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie Assassin. Enjoy the movie. Two hitmen take the elevator to the top floor of a skyscraper. There is a party of corporate criminals. One of them, having drunk alcohol, almost chokes on a piece of paper. It is a scrap of a poster with his face. Immediately the lights go out. Trevor's been issued a death warrant for non-payment of taxes, slave trading, and war crimes. The men in yellow ties turned out to resist, but soon they were all sent to the other side of the world. Running out onto the roof, Trevor tries to fly away with a rocket pack. Mary, at this moment, almost fell down, but the Wanderer managed to save her, at the same time shooting Trevor's head off. Here we learn that in the not-too-distant future, world powers were brought to their knees by the largest companies. Competition turned into corporate wars. Top managers fled with the rest of the world's wealth. Major cities were burned. The Council of 9 to network corporations signed death sentences for all its employees. Competition arose among the assassins for the number of orders completed and the money earned. In the town of Santa Lucia, people live among ruins and scrap metal. Wanderer came here with another corpse tied to his motorcycle. Fat Jack is his fan and dreams of becoming Wanderer's partner. The hero is surrounded by a crowd, but then Mary arrives here with a whole trailer of dead people. She is a real superstar among killers, and only faithful Jack stayed with his idol. After the execution of the managers is brought to the butcher Willie, he has to identify the corpses and swears when the headless bodies are delivered to him. Council 9 is unhappy with this work and often refuses to pay. Jack is hiding in the cart with the squeezers. He begs to be taken along on the hunt. The Wanderer took pity on the fan and sent him to start the bike. He fell down the stairs and almost accidentally shot someone in the crowd. When they left, Willie got a death warrant for Wanderer himself. Jack acts as squire. He has to file and load the hitman's guns, but the bumbling bearded man keeps losing barrels along the way. As Mary was fixing her Ford Mustang, she was approached by two types of microcars. Greg is in the real estate business, more specifically a resort in the middle of the desert called Second Sunday. He offers Mary to be the publicity face of the company. Mary is radically opposed to such cooperation, so began to pile on the couple. During the fight, Bob smashed his boss's head with a chain, and he himself was cut by Mary with a knife and a spur on his boot. In the car, Mary found a death warrant for her colleague. After torturing the agonizing Greg, she learned where to find the informant Wanderer, to whom he was just on his way. Wanderer left Beardface on the lookout and went to deal with the informant, who also had a warrant out for him. Mary arrived here as well, with local reporter Billy running around her. Mary took the biggest gun she could find and entered the building. Jack decided to help his partner and ruined his rival's ride. He saw the building being surrounded on all sides by corporates. The assassins found the burned body of the informant. The Wanderer realizes it's a trap. He's going to go to the judges and appeal his negotiation. Although no one's ever been able to do that before. Besides, it's too dangerous. Mary wishes she could help him, but when she's refused, she opens fire on the Wanderer. A couple of killers jumped out of the window and began to methodically destroy people in business suits. Reporter Beely tangled Mary under his feet until he was shot. Mary showed the Wanderer her bombs. She was angry that he refused her help. The partners scrambled out of town, but Mary got on their tail and started firing her revolver. Soon Jack's shenanigans began to make themselves known. The Mustang threw Mary off of him and then took off after him. The Wanderer looked back at the podgy Mary and asked her not to chase him. Van Sterling, one of the leaders of the Second Sun Company, rode up to the scene of the battle. He finished off the wounded and turned on the videophone that was hidden in the briefcase. He used it to contact his boss. She warned him that if he didn't kill the assassins, he would be eliminated. Wanderer warned Jack that now it is too dangerous to be near him, but Bearded intends to stay with his idol. Suddenly the partners are attacked and dragged to their camp by gypsies, full of scumbags who eat and rape people. Dr. Them approached the gypsy queen Sujata to find out what they forgot in the devastated lands. They themselves are looking for the gypsy woman Nuri, who killed their king and escaped. She was just about to find the Wanderer. The man is tortured into giving up Nuri, but he keeps his mouth shut. The Wanderer hopes that the gypsies will get drunk and in the morning they will use their hangovers to escape. The Wanderer confesses to Jack that the gypsy who is looking for these beasts is Mary. He first met the girl in a brothel for murderers. After chasing the whores away, she herself climbed on top of the Wanderer and presented a knife to his throat. She had heard that the assassin was better at his trade and asked to be trained in the craft. There was a training camp for assassins attached to the brothel, and their Wanderer began training Miri. After a while he started taking his apprentice to work with him, and then it came to sand kissing and all that. The color came off Nuri's face. She made herself a costume and asked not to be called that anymore. She was Mary now. The next few months were the happiest for them. They worked in tandem and got tons of people in. One day the Wanderer started talking about how they needed to go somewhere, leave it all behind, and start a new life. In response, Mary stabbed her lover with a knife and left him for dead in the middle of the desert. After finishing his story, the Wanderer cuts the rope with a shard of skull and he and Jack are freed. The gypsies were indeed lying on the ground in unconsciousness. The partners were about to steal their trailer. Jack took the reins from the commanded motorcycle harness to drive forward. The gypsies finally woke up and rushed in pursuit. Those who were ahead were immediately eliminated. The squire dropped the suitcase with weapons and almost fell off the trailer. The red-haired Valkyrie was left without a partner and was very angry. Jack tries to get to it while fighting with a stowaway. The redhead pulled out a giant axe and launched it at the Wanderer, but instead she chopped the head off the dude Jack was fighting. Beardy managed to pull out the wire, and the Wanderer blasted the remaining pursuers with a grenade launcher. The partners continued on their way. Mary arrived at a brothel that had fallen on hard times. All the girls have moved away and the town has dawdled, with only their old pimp left. Mary complains to her about Wanderer, who has been a criminal and hiding from justice all this time, under a false name. Lucille fits her friend with a bra and an old gypsy bike. The partners stopped at the shack of a Jimba carrier who transports clerks across the border illegally. The Wanderer asked for help getting them through the barren lands. Jimba was about to refuse, but suddenly saw 6 cans of beer that the Wanderer found from the gypsies. For such a fee, the merrymaker agreed to risk his life. Jimba uses corn moonshine as fuel. Jack poured himself a cup and was cheered up, but then the drink knocked him out and Jack had to be dragged to the car. Mary follows them on their heels. She drives through the city destroyed by war and nuclear storm and soon got lost among the skyscrapers. The girl found the wounded man. His tribe had come here to find Nuri. Mary finished the fighter. The bike stalled, so she had to find shelter. Mary found a bunker. But the defense system forced her to leave all her weapons behind, and then sanitized it, and only then allowed her to pass on. Inside, she found a sullen cartographer. The girl begs for a map so she can get out of the barren lands, but is refused because she has nothing to pay. The big guy wouldn't take his eyes off the map, but when he did look at Mary, he asked her to autograph some posters. He turned out to be a big fan of the assassin and gladly gave her the map so she could get to the council building. Meanwhile, Jimba led his comrades through the barren lands without any trouble, but just as he was about to get his hands on a can of beer, a sniper opened fire on the car. It was Mary who took up position on the high ground. Wanderer came out unarmed and offered to talk to her. She agreed and smacked Jack for the ruined car. For some reason the chubby one was not very happy about the dangerous adventures he had to endure in the last few days. Mary gave the Wanderer a map that would help him find the Council of Nine. The girl wanted to go with him, so she would be the one to put a bullet in the murderer's forehead if he was found guilty. The Trinity found the council house. It was destroyed and the dead body of a guard lay in the sand. An army of yellow ties had been here before them. Mary went inside and saw that all 9 New World leaders had been killed. The Wanderer confessed that his real name was Gorman. He was the owner of a factory that made airplanes. Airplanes that were used to destroy all the cities were against it, but 2 partners had set him up. The council offered him the position of 10th judge. They needed someone who knew all the corporate bigwigs, but instead Gorman became the first assassin. The company was surrounded by a squad of clerks and led outside, approached by Catherine, one of Gorman's former partners. The other was Trevor, who had already been killed. It was Catherine who put out the death warrant in his name. The woman is about to accuse two of the council's most notorious mercenaries of murder, and that should bring the system down. Just as she finished her story, a pack of rabid gypsies attacked the yellow ties. The carnage began. Mary separated from the company to deal with the gypsy queen. The fighting ladies began to fight one-on-one. Jimbo was wounded again, so Jack hit him in the trunk. Afterward, he began to collect weapons and ammunition for Skitaller. At the same time, everyone else was constantly running somewhere. Jack is beaten up by Sterling, and Sujata beats up Mary, but she was distracted by talking and didn't notice how Mary stabbed her with a knife and then blew her head off. Mary herself was stabbed in the stomach. She woke up in a gypsy tent. She killed the queen of the gypsies and became their new queen. Which means these weirdos are now her army. They can be put into a meat grinder against the yellow ties. Jack doesn't mess around either and grabs Sterling, who points out where the second son is. At a resort in the middle of the desert, the office plankton could do what they love most: burying themselves in paperwork in stuffy offices. The Wanderer was shaved and also dressed in a suit. Catherine was not only a partner, but also Wanderer's wife. She offered him to sign the papers and become the face of the company. Hormone Industries. In the New World, they could build pure capitalism, no taxes, no unions, and no government. A free market one could only dream of. While Catherine was describing her wet dreams, Mary and her gypsies interrupted all the yellow ties in the office. The mercenary kicked in the door and smacked the blonde in the head with a briefcase. Jack handed the boss a machine gun and he went to sweep the office building clean of the last surviving clerks. Savages with painted faces helped them in this, but then Catherine came out and shot Mary in the chest. The Wanderer sentences the ex with a shotgun. It turned out that in vain she and Jack were worried about their battle friend, because she had not forgotten to wear the gift-armored bra. Having interrupted all white collars, the lovers closed in the garage and for 2 weeks in a row have been doing the same thing. And Jimbo gave Jack the last can of beer to save his life, which tastes like a woman's breasts.